In this course, we've covered concrete as a building material, and we've covered some of the chemistry that goes into making concrete. We talked about some of the science behind using it to build, but I do think that these days, anytime we talk about a building material or a technique, it's also important to discuss sustainability. Now, when we use the term sustainability, we can attack this issue from a lot of different directions, and I actually think that's the right approach. It's hard to make a bunch of big changes, but lots of smaller or incremental changes can also really add up. So let's look at this from a few different angles. First, let's go back to where we started this course and talk about the cement and cement production. Remember, cement's a manufactured product, and it does take a tremendous amount of energy to heat those mined ingredients to 2,000 degrees. This is something that the industry is really focused on in terms of improvement and becoming more sustainable. And I think they've shown significant advances in several areas. One of those advancements is a significant reduction in the amount of energy that it takes to make cement. Today, it takes about 37% less energy to produce a ton of cement than it did back in 1972. I think that's a significant improvement and a real move towards sustainability. The industry's figured out ways to save enough energy to power 2.3 million homes a year. Another move towards sustainability by the cement industry is by changing what they burn to fire that kiln. They've made significant advances in burning old used tires instead of coal or natural gas. This might seem a little strange in a discussion on sustainability, but remember, used tires are a huge waste problem. They take up a tremendous amount of space in landfills and they don't biodegrade. The cement industry today diverts a significant quantity of these old tires away from those landfills and burns them to heat their kilns instead of burning a natural resource like coal. They use so many tires, in fact, that if you laid them end to end, it would be enough tires to stretch across the United States almost 3 times. Let's stay with that topic of using industrial byproducts for a minute, but we're going to switch to concrete, and we're going to talk about those pozzolans again. Remember, pozzolans are industrial byproducts, things like fly ash that remains after we burn coal at a power plant, stuff that would otherwise go into landfills. Concrete producers have made significant advances towards using a lot of this stuff to make concrete. It cuts down on the quantity of cement that's needed. That helps sustainability, and it diverts this industrial waste away from landfills. In fact, we divert enough of this waste away from landfills to fill a freight train over 386 miles long. So I think that these are some significant advancements, and they're important to remember and include in a discussion on sustainability. You know, since we talked about rebar, I'll also go ahead and mention that virtually all of the rebar manufactured around the world is manufactured from scrap steel, not virgin ore or mined metals. It's all made from scrap. Let's shift gears again and talk about longevity. I think that if you want to judge the sustainability of a building material or a method, you have to give some consideration to how long it's going to last. I think concrete has this one down. Remember the Pantheon in Rome, that concrete dome built 2,000 years ago, still standing? That's sustainability. And there are many examples like that. Not too far from our studios here in California, we have a section of concrete freeway on Interstate 10. It was placed over 65 years ago, and it still carries more than 240,000 vehicles a day. Again, I think this is a pretty good example of sustainability. There's probably more that we could talk about here. For example, there are some efforts that have been seeing some success in making concrete buildings that absorb carbon and pollution from the air. And the industry's tackling a number of other issues, but it is time to start wrapping things up. If you're interested in more resources, I'll give you a few places to look as we conclude things in our next video.